Hello friends, this is Psycar, and I'm once again playing FTL. I'm also having some minor technical difficulties. I'm hoping this video will record in the quality you would deserve and expect. Since I'm not really sure how this is going to go, I'm going to skip my rambling prelude and get to the point. Like I suggested last time, I'm going to do a run for my friend who's having some difficulty getting into FTL. He only has a couple ships unlocked. He's got the Kestrel and the Red Tail. If he has any others, he hasn't mentioned them. He's playing on easy, and for some reason he insists on keeping the Advanced Edition content disabled. I personally think that's a bit of a bad move, since the faster you learn it, the better. And also there's some cool stuff in there, but it's his request. So I'm going to customize my crew here. I think Ukla's a guy, actually. No, it's exactly the same. Alright, how about... They kind of look all the same to me. Is it like a hair color difference? Yeah, alright. A little different. And... Roseluck is definitely a girl. So, okay. Alright, so, Kestrel, easy, Advanced Edition, disabled. It's like I just bought the game, 5 years ago or whatever. But I'm gonna go through this. I can see in my preview that the screen sizing is a little off. I have to do a monitor capture instead of a game one. For some reason it's blinking uncontrollably when I try to do the game capture right now. But the monitor capture works just fine. Alright. So, we got our crew. Default stations are decent. I'm tempted to move someone off engine to put them on shields. That always struck me as a better move early game. Since I'm not going to be dodging anything anyway, I want to get those shields up online. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take Ukla here and put him on shields. And I'm going to save stations. And I never remember the hotkey for save stations, but the one for go back to stations is enter. So if you just want your crew to go back where you know they should be, you can press enter. Not only does it save time, but it also is useful in a tight situation where you're just like, whatever, I'm gonna get back to position. Alright, so I don't need to store because I got nothing to barter with, so let's just start fighting dudes. When in doubt, always fight as much as you can. I'm gonna hold off on firing the Artemis missile. The burst laser is actually one of the best weapons in the game. Doubly so because we're playing the non-advanced edition. It can just cream early game ships. See, their one volley took out their Sector 1 weapons, and now there go their shields. I don't know what they're doing on this ship. Guess we could find out because they can't fire. Let's take a look at engines. They're on fire. They're not doing that good, but that doesn't really matter. We're just going to take them down. So since I'm in nose dread, I'll save a little bit of time by healing up the crew. You always, if at all possible, want to heal your crew to full before every jump. Ooh, an ion blast. That's really good. I'm going to put that online. Alright, so first jump, and I've got a ton of scrap, and I've got a weapon that I can use, and I'm gonna get that second level of shields online. And okay, so I feel pretty good about that start. Reject their offer. There are times when you want to actually pay people to not attack you or avoid fighting, but anytime you have the upper hand and you're not on fire, you should definitely fight them as much as possible. And this would be a pretty good surrender if I was planning on using missiles more. But I'm not. And I might actually use that missile for some parts of the game, but I don't think I'll have to use it much now that I got the Ion Blast. I should get enough missiles from random destructions that I don't have to take surrenders that specifically give me missiles. So I will avoid that, and the general rule with surrenders is they're good for getting out of combat you don't want to be in the first place, and they're good for getting more non-scrap resources. I think they were offering 14, and I got 19 this time. And you get random other stuff from destroying the ship. So if you want fuel or if you want missiles, then surrenders are much more tempting. However, if you just want to get scrap to upgrade your ship, then destroy ships outright, and you should get more. Again, I don't care about the store at all. My ship is extremely powerful for Sector 1. I've got some extremely effective weapons. And I'm just going to stockpile scrap. You notice I pause the game a lot. The default for pausing the game is spacebar. This isn't a race. Your ship will take incredible damage, and the more you assess your situation and not let things get out of control, the better off you'll be doing. Again, with their weapons offline, there's no reason not to send this guy over to do repairs just to save time before the next jump. And some more scrap. Return to stations and jump. Now, one easy thing to do is to get stuck at the exit without either just have no proper jump area to get to the exit at all, because it was actually like cut off and you had to go down here or something, or to get to the exit and not be able to jump as much. The key to winning FTL is to get as much scrap as possible, and the key to getting as much scrap as possible is to do as much fighting as possible. So, oh crap, that's going to show up, isn't it? I'm doing a flat-out monitor capture. Hi, Reki. Oh well. Right, so you want to do as much jumps as possible, which means you want to be jumping to the next sector at the last possible moment. Which basically means giving the rebel fleet just enough time to catch you without actually having to fight any rebels outright. That fleet jump pursuit thing is going to hurt that cause a little bit, but hey, what you gonna do? You notice I target different subsystems. I do this because it makes repairing their ship harder. Instead of being able to just stand in one room, they have to run all over, and running wastes their time. So yeah, wow, look at that gain. I'm gonna just keep speeding forward though. There are times when you want to fight the rebel fleet. Okay, west of my base. What's right here? I'm running out of jumps though. I'm gonna... something like that. Oh, that quest is that one. Oh, I don't think I can get that. I'd have to jump past the exit and jump back, and that would waste a lot of time. So, sorry, Federation guys, I don't think I'm going to be able to help you on this particular quest. Ooh. This is a way I could lose a crew. However, I find in Sector 1, if you kind of have to go big or go home, I'm going to try to rescue the survivors. Unfortunately, it didn't work out too well for me, but no one died, and I did get 10 scrap out of it, which is actually enough to repair 4 damage. In the early sectors, it costs 2 scrap to repair, middle it costs 3, 4, or later it costs 4. So even though I didn't really get what I wanted out of that, I kind of came ahead net, even my favor. Nothing here. Alright, so they jump about this much forward every time, so they'll jump about to here, and they might jump to the exit, I'm not sure. So I'm going to go to a node where I have the option of jumping to the exit, and if they're not quite there, I can jump here and then jump back. Ion weapon. You're thinking maybe, well wait a minute, I didn't start with the ion cannon, that's not fair, using the ion cannon, I didn't get the ion cannon. Hey, FTL is a game of luck, especially in the beginning. You've noticed a lot of my videos, if you've watched them, I just get something totally unexpected in Sector 1, and I'm like, can I build a strategy out of this? Hey, their weapons aren't offline. I'm not okay with that. Wow. There are times when you want to fight fires, there are times when you want to run. Never, ever, ever risk someone dying. Ever. But fires aren't actually all that hard to get under control. So, I say this, and yet it's not going to happen. Alright, this is clearly spreading beyond my means, so this is the time when I want to suck the oxygen out. And on that note, I should probably put the oxygen back on for the ship. Close all doors, open all doors. Open all doors is a thing I do. It allows the oxygen to float between rooms more readily. Since only a few rooms were low on oxygen, it made it so that the other rooms that had more oxygen could quickly fill this room. In the end, it doesn't change how much oxygen is on the ship, but it does mean that you can get into previously unoxygenated rooms quicker. And so, you're spending less time sitting around waiting for oxygen to fill rooms, which not only cuts down on time on these videos, but also is useful when you're fighting, since you can get people into areas they need to repair without having to wait for the oxygen. So, keep it in mind, open doors, save time. Oh, that's so close. It's not worth fighting a rebel, so I'm gonna jump there. Combat drone Mark 1. Yeah, this would have been too late if I would have jumped otherwise. Alright, so pretty good Sector 1. I have enough to do some ship upgrades, but I think now I want to think more about my weapons on the ship. Wow, what the hell, there's like a pacifist route down here, and then there's a fighting route up there. I guess I could come down here and then switch to more violent stuff up there. Or I could go through the nebula and then do 4 hostile sectors. I think I'm gonna go to the pirate sector. Pirates are just stronger civilians, really. They don't have any, like, racial bonuses, which is convenient, which I think makes them easier to fight. And since my ship is strong right now, I'm gonna go to a hostile sector. If you were a lot less happy with how strong your ship is, you should go to civilian sectors because you'll have less combat there to give you time to fight some easier fights and recover. Alright, so that event gave me a crew member. It gave me Charlie, who is good at repairing. Mantis have a 50% racial penalty to repair, so that's a little bit odd, but I suppose, hey, I'll take any skill. It will help him. I mean, he'll have to repair something probably at some point in this run. This is kind of a weirdly designed sector. See, it's not that unstraightforward, but if I was expecting to get through down here, then that wasn't going to happen. So I always mouse around on these beacons before I start moving through the sector. But I'll just putz around up here and eventually head down. Poor Alex, I watched a lot of his videos. He got caught endlessly. Alright, so just in the interest of showing you how best to use the Artemis. The Artemis is a tactical weapon, not exactly a beatdown one. You use it to fire into stuff that's hard for you to reach. Now I can bust through any amount of their lasers or shields right now, so I don't really have anything that's hard to reach. But just to prove the point, if they had high shields or something, ka-thunk. And then their shields are offline. Which wasn't actually that bad of a move. You want to minimize using missiles, period. Because they're limited ammunition, but also because you don't usually need them. Nah. Many enemies will attempt to jump away when they realize they're not going to win this fight. You can stop them and get the FTL delayed by critically damaging either their engines or their bridge. If any of those are red, then they can't jump. Get a pike beam. Is this happening because I'm uneasy, or am I just that lucky? I don't know. I'm starting to get a lot of weapons, and they're not terrible weapons, actually. I'm kind of okay with this. I'll jump up here. Asteroids. You know, this feels like a good time to show off the pike beam. I'm gonna let that charge up. Now, asteroids are a very defensive-oriented fight. I'm quite happy now that I've got that double layer of shields, because it's very easy for damage on asteroids to get out of control, and they very wisely targeted my shields, so now I'm in actually a lot of trouble. So I'm going to take Roseluck to help repair that as quickly as possible. Waiting for that. Alright, I'm going to show off the pike beam. Beams, you can draw a line. Any room that comes up in yellow, you will do 1 damage to the enemy ship as well as 1 damage to the subsystem. It doesn't matter how much of the ship you hit, or how much of the room. As long as the room is highlighted, you will damage the subsystem and do damage to the ship. So here I'm hitting 5 rooms. Now normally you want to hit the shields because damaging shields is good, especially with beams. Beams are completely negated by shields, but since I'm fighting in an asteroid field, their shields are offline anyway. Come on guys, get those shields up. Alright. Stations. You don't want to auto-fire beams because, like I said, they're completely negated by shields. You want to make sure that when you're firing that beam, you're getting full use of it. Damn it! I shouldn't be screwing around, but oh well. I just wasn't dodging enough asteroids was the problem. Also, my sensors are on fire. Is the fire bad? Nah, I should be able to control it. Let's send over Simple to help. Note that when I took Simple off piloting, my evasion dropped to 0. However, with the double shields, I should be okay. Generally speaking, you never, ever want to take your pilot off piloting because evasion to dropping to 0 is painful. Even though I only have, a minimum amount of evasion in this early game, 20% is a lot better than 0. So, alright, I took a fair bit of damage there. Not entirely sure it's all the pike beam's fault. I think it was just they had a pretty good way of keeping my shields down with their drone and the asteroids, and they did fire directly into my shields, which is a winning strategy in asteroid fields. Let's take a look. Heavy ion is kind of cool. The Kestrel focuses best on firing barrages of lasers that are hard to dodge. You batter through the enemy shields with bulk and then do damage to their hull directly. So that's going to be my strategy. I don't think the combat drone fits into it too well, so I'm going to sell it for scrap. The pike beam actually isn't terrible, but I don't see it winning long term, so I'm going to sell it for scrap. Now what do we have? We have a heavy ion, which is slow, but does more ion damage than my ion blast. Takes 2 power, or this one takes 1 charge of 8 and does 1, the other one takes 2 power, 13 and 2. I'm not sure that's an upgrade, especially in the early game. Heavy laser does, it does more damage per shot, but since I'm more worried right now about busting through their shields entirely, I'm not sure that's a good idea. On the other hand, it's only 1 power. And then the burst laser 3, which is 5 lasers for 4 power. This isn't bad at all. God, I'm pretty limited because I'm playing non-advanced edition, but I think this is... I mean, I could afford it, but I wouldn't be able to get it online for a very, very long time. I think I'm going to go with the heavy laser for now. Between that, the ion, and the burst, that's a pretty solid setup for the early game. So I'm going to buy that. I can fix 30 damage. I never take myself to full. I always hover around here. There are events that heal you. Admittedly, I'm not sure they're in the non-advanced edition. It's been a very long time since I've played with that settings off. But, I mean, if any ship as battle is able to do this much damage to me, they were probably able to do that much too. And fixing repairs is just a complete waste of scrap. Yes, it keeps you alive, but that's something that could be benefiting you in any other way. Same with buying fuel. I try to keep around 10 in the tank. I don't want to overkill buying fuel. And I never buy missiles or drones. Never, ever buy missiles or drones. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to buy missiles or drones, you've done something wrong. Okay. I also have the ability to buy subsystems. I noticed one of my friends was not using subsystems at all. I think that's a bad move. This thing comes with a free defense drone MK2. That's a good drone. That's the one I want. But is it the right choice right now? I don't have a lot of power. And I don't have a lot of drones. And I don't expect them to be firing too many really strong missiles at me. The main advantage of drones is that it gives you missile defense. And you can get other drones to do other stuff, but in my opinion, that's kind of icing on the cake. And I can also buy crew. I try not to buy crew, because you can get enough crew. Like, I just got Charlie there. But on the flip side, having an NG that can repair the ship is so good. So I'm going to buy the NG. And I think that means I can't even buy any of the subsystems right now. Anyway, that's okay, I don't think I want them. So now I've got my 5th crew member. Since I'm playing on non-advanced edition, he can't man engines, right? Oh, he can man sensors. That was something they added in advanced edition, but apparently they kept it in the old game. Right, if you can see these little icons down here. These represent someone manning the station. The yellow one means that they're just kind of standing there and they're not getting any experience off it, but they are upgrading its capability. So when in doubt, my NG Bro is going to hang on sensors. This will let me see what's on the enemy ship. That's a bit not that useful for this ship, but it doesn't hurt. My final upgrade will be into weapons. I'm going to get that heavy laser online. You want to order your weapons in the most to least valuable range, because if this system takes damage, these weapons will go offline before this one. So I think the burst laser is more important than the ions and more important than the heavy. So that's the order I'm going to pick. I am way ahead of the rebel fleet and I'm running out of jumps. I think I probably can hit all of these. Unfortunately, this was just a sector without a whole lot of jump nodes. Let's try to help them. And we got another crew member. Zoltans have the racial ability that powers something when they just stand in a room. I think he's a good person to put on engines. I'm going to take Charlie off engines and have him be like my security officer for the ship. If I get boarded, which is very likely, then Charlie will be able to respond since he's not at a station. Then my station will be going unmanned. So alright, I've got 6 crew members. I'm doing pretty good. Let's just see if we can clean up the rest of these nodes. And leave Sector 2. Reactor for 20. That's not that good of a deal. I mean, it saves me 5 scrap, but usually you can get those for like half price. Okay. See, now I can see onto the enemy ship because I have the sensors running. But what am I really doing with this information right now? Not a lot. I can see that it's crewed by a Mantis and a Rockman. It's like, okay, they're crewed by a Mantis and a Rockman. See, I can see them struggling to repair, but I feel okay about that. But you can see how this ship is starting to get its effective barrage going. I'm firing everything in auto-fire. It minimizes the cooldown, so it makes it harder for them to get their shields and stuff online. And it also gives Roseluck here much valuable experience. Crew experience is the most valuable thing to take into the final fight. I mean, you need a well-upgraded ship, you need a effective firepower, you need the ability to dodge stuff, but these passive bonuses change it from a stalemate to a decisive victory. And I will try to highlight that more as we get closer to the end of the game. Alright, I really have only 3 more I can do. And I can't even jump between them! I'd have to, like, swing around or something. I don't want to waste the fuel for that. Oh, goody! A Nebula, and Jesus, another crew member! Yeah, buying that NG wasn't such a smart move after all. My ship is almost full. So I have nothing more that can be manned. I'm just going to put this dude here. Niels will run around and repair the ship as needed. Maybe I'll put him on doors if I'm boarded. I don't know. What you gonna do? Alright, well this is the end of this sector. I'm going to play the rest of this run, but right now I want to see if I can address some of the technical limitations. I'm looking at the preview and I can see that it's not cropped completely perfectly. I have an ol instead of a hole. So I'm going to see if I can get that game capture working again and continue the series. Also, I'm going to turn my oxygen on so people don't suffocate. So yeah, I mean, you're thinking, well, that was easy. Well, it's easy. And I did get some lucky outcomes of events. I'm not saying you should need a start as well as I had mine, but if you find yourself just usually getting trashed in Sector 1 and in Sector 2, it's not your fault. Not an easy. If you're just getting crew members killed left and right through random events, or, you know, every event you do is an explosion that does damage to your hull, or you keep fighting ships with a bunch of missiles that just tear your hull apart, you'd be like, you know what, I'm not doing this. Roguelikes they're a bit random, and while I believe you can fight the randomness for your sake, if you get a bad start, it can be hard to recover from it. So that's my parting advice for this video. In the next, we'll see how the game progresses toward mid-game. Until then, take care.